The rain fell in heavy, angry sheets that night, turning the alleyway into a river of mud and cold. A single street lamp flickered weakly, its light trembling like a heartbeat on the edge of giving up. Most people hurried past the dark corner behind the old grocery store, shielding themselves from the storm. But one man slowed down. He wasn't sure why. Maybe it was instinct, maybe fate whispering in the wind, but something made him turn his head. And that was when he saw her. A tiny figure, drenched, shivering, and desperately digging through a dumpster as if her life depended on it. Her small hands trembled, her clothes hung off her like torn rags. Her hair, once golden, was now matted and soaked. She looked no older than 7. And yet, there was something hauntingly familiar about her. Something that made his heart stop. Because the whole city had been searching for a missing heiress for the last 3 weeks, her face plastered on every billboard and phone screen, and this little girl looked exactly like her. Before we go deeper into the story, if you believe kindness, compassion, and second chances can change lives, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your support helps these inspiring stories reach more hearts around the world. His name was Michael Heiress, a quiet 38-year-old mechanic with a life as ordinary as the rusted buildings around him. But the moment his eyes locked on the girl, his ordinary world shattered. He had seen enough suffering in his own life to recognize pure desperation when it stood right in front of him, soaked in rain and trembling from hunger. She wasn't digging casually, she was digging frantically, like she hadn't eaten in days. Michael felt something tighten inside his chest. He knew what hunger felt like. He knew what abandonment felt like. He knew what it meant to be invisible. He could have walked away, pretended he didn't see anything, convinced himself it wasn't his problem. But he couldn't. Not tonight, not this child. He approached carefully, trying not to startle her. She froze when she sensed someone nearby, her small shoulders tensing as if she were ready to run or fight. In that split second, he saw fear in her eyes, the kind of fear no child should ever carry. And he knew, without any confirmation, that this was the girl the city was praying to find. The daughter of the wealthy and influential Kensington family. The child whose disappearance had brought detectives, helicopters, volunteers, and nationwide alerts. Her name was Lily, and now she stood in front of Michael, fragile and broken, searching for food in a dumpster to survive. Michael didn't ask questions. He didn't demand answers. He simply removed his jacket and draped it around her shoulders, shielding her from the rain. She stiffened at first, but the warmth was too comforting to resist. She clutched the fabric tightly, as though afraid it might vanish. Michael gently guided her toward the nearest shelter under a metal awning. He could feel her trembling, not just from cold but from something deeper, trauma, exhaustion, heartbreak. He knew better than to bombard her. He let silence hold them both as the storm raged around them. As they stood together, the truth began to unravel in small, heartbreaking pieces. Lily had been taken by someone she trusted, someone the police hadn't even suspected. She had escaped only 2 days earlier, wandering through streets and alleys, hiding from anyone who looked suspicious. She'd gone without food except for what she could find in abandoned packets and trash bins. She'd slept behind dumpsters, afraid of being caught again. She had cried until she couldn't cry anymore. And somewhere along the way, she had stopped believing she would ever see her family again. Michael listened with a stillness that only someone who had once lost all hope could possess. The rain softened to a drizzle, but the world around them remained painfully heavy. He realized that Lily had survived through sheer willpower, something rare and extraordinary in someone so young. She wasn't just a missing heiress. She was a fighter, a survivor, a child carrying burdens no child should ever bear. Michael knew he had to take her to safety, but he also knew that Lily trusted no one at this point, not even the authorities. She flinched at the mention of police, her hands tightening around his jacket as if she were terrified of being taken again. So he didn't insist. Instead, he offered her something she had been denied for days: quiet, warmth, and the feeling of being protected. He walked her to his small apartment above the garage where he worked. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean, safe, and warm. He cooked her soup, the kind his mother used to make when life felt unbearably cold, and she ate slowly, as if afraid it was all a dream. In the dim light of his living room, Michael noticed the bruises on her arms. The dirt embedded in her skin. The fear trapped behind her eyes. But he also saw resilience. He saw a child who had fought harder than most adults ever had. He saw strength in her trembling hands, determination in her shaky breaths. And with every passing moment, Lily began to see something in Michael too. Not danger, not threat, but kindness, something she hadn't felt since the day she was taken. As hours passed, the child who had been silent and guarded began to open up. She told him about her family, the mansion she missed, the garden she loved, the dog she cuddled every night. Her voice broke only once, when she mentioned her mother's lullabies. Michael felt something sting in his chest. He knew loss. He understood what it meant to be separated from the people you love. And suddenly, he wasn't just helping her because she was a missing heiress. He was helping her because she was a child who deserved to feel safe again. That night, Michael didn't sleep. He sat on the couch, keeping watch as Lily slept curled up on the bed. She didn't move much, exhausted beyond measure, but every once in a while, she would whimper softly. And every time she did, Michael whispered gently, letting her know she wasn't alone. The world outside had failed her, but he wouldn't. In the morning, the sun rose with a fragile glow, as if unsure whether it should shine after such a night. Michael brewed tea and watched Lily eat breakfast, her little hands gripping the spoon with new energy. Then he faced the hardest part. He needed to call the authorities, not because he didn't trust Lily's fear, but because he knew her parents were living their own private nightmare. They were desperate, broken, searching for the child they feared they had lost forever. He dialed the emergency number with a tremor in his fingers, quietly praying he was doing the right thing. When the police arrived, the moment was heavy with emotion. Lily panicked at first, running to hide behind Michael. Her small hands gripped his shirt tightly, refusing to let go. Michael knelt beside her, reassuring her with a warmth that felt like sunlight after a long winter. He told her she was safe, that no one would hurt her ever again, that she would be home soon. And slowly, painfully, she believed him. The officers handled her gently, realizing immediately who she was. And within an hour, the news had spread. The missing Kensington heiress had been found alive. Entire networks broadcast her rescue. The city cried tears of relief. The Kensington family rushed to the hospital, their hearts racing with hope and dread. When Lily saw her mother again, she let out a cry so raw, so full of emotion, that even the officers turned away to wipe their eyes. They clung to each other, mother and child, their souls reconnecting after weeks of fear and suffering. Michael stood at a distance, watching quietly. He didn't want recognition, he didn't want reward, he only hoped Lily would heal. But as her parents held her, Lily pointed at him with teary eyes. And her mother looked at Michael as if he were a miracle. They approached him, thanking him with voices trembling from gratitude. They offered him money, gifts, anything he could imagine, but Michael shook his head. He didn't help her for glory. He helped because he knew the world needed more kindness, and children needed more protection. In the following weeks, the Kensington family invited him over often, wanting him to remain a part of Lily's life. They saw how she smiled differently around him, how she felt safe in his presence. For Lily, Michael was no longer a stranger. He was the man who saved her when the world turned its back. He was the reason she survived long enough to return home. And in her eyes, he would always be the hero who found her in the rain when no one else did. Months passed, and the city healed. Lily started therapy, returning slowly to the little girl she had been before trauma reshaped her world. And Michael continued his quiet life, though now he felt a warmth he hadn't felt in years, the warmth of knowing he mattered, that he had changed someone's life forever. Sometimes, on weekends, Lily visited him with her parents. They would bring cookies or toys or small gifts she insisted he have. And every time she hugged him, Michael felt something inside him mend, a part of himself he thought was lost. In the end, this wasn't a story of wealth or social status. It wasn't about the Kensington name or the city-wide search. It was about the unexpected moments when kindness becomes a lifeline. It was about a broken child surviving through courage, and a humble man stepping into the light when someone needed him most. It was about healing, connection, and the extraordinary power of compassion. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in kindness, hope, and the power of strangers to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your engagement helps these stories reach more people who need inspiration. Special request. Before this story ends, comment below, what act of kindness in your life changed everything for you? Your stories matter. Share them.